Guys, we are finally talking about Mindbender's Ambition. Now, at one time, this was considered one of the best shotguns, if not the best shotgun in the game. Some of y'all remember, Spare Rations Mindbender's combo was like the meta for so long. Now, back then, Mindbender's only dropped from the Hollow Lair Nightfall, and its random rolls were somewhat limited. It also had a curated roll, and back then, you could get a curated roll with opening shot Rampage together. That was actually a really good combination. I think many of us wanted opening shot to be present just in its random rolls. That way you can do something like quick draw and opening shot. But you had combinations like slide shot, quick draw together, which was pretty nuts. Rampage was still present on there. You could combine it with slide shot and just run around getting stacks and extra damage. And back in the day, this was like before Found Verdict, even before Fellwinter's Lie, Mindbender's was the king. And that entire aggressive frame archetype was the king of shotguns. Today though, guys, Mindbender's has returned to us. It's actually dropping from Exodus Crash. And with it dropping from Grandmaster Nightfalls, you can also get this shotgun as an adept weapon. Now, it's got a number of traits that are present on it, including some origin traits. One being Stunning Recovery, where stunning a champion partially refills your magazine and triggers health regeneration and improves recovery for a short duration. Now, this is actually pretty beneficial, especially this season with unstoppable shotguns. Stunning a champion actually refreshes a percentage of your mag and heals you 60 HP and grants 40 recovery for 3 seconds. Now, Vanguard's Vindication is what you're primarily going to be using in things like PvP, where final blows with this weapon grant a small amount of health. Now, it's a very small amount, only 7 health on kills, but a little bit of something. Now, its random rolls is really interesting. This is a energy weapon and it deals solar damage. And if you notice right there, we have incandescent present on this weapon. Where defeating a target spreads scorch to those nearby, and more powerful combatants and opposing guardians cause scorch in a larger radius. Now, I actually have an incandescent roll combined with slide waste with very good range. And this roll actually does pretty good. Incandescent is not necessarily something that's going to be a game changer inside of PvP. It's definitely more of a PvE perk. But when it comes to like spreading scorch and following up with some melee kills, especially if you're building into Solar 3.0, it's actually not bad. Again, don't crap on it. I even roll incandescent on my Drang in PvP. Now, if you notice, the trait that we're pairing with it is Slide Waste. Now, this is not Slide Shot. Slide Shot actually boosts your range. Slide Waste, though, only boosts your handling and stability. It does not benefit your range in any kind of way. And again, the original Mindbender's Ambition could roll with Slide Shot, but not the case here with the revamped Mindbender's Ambition. Now, other traits and rolls that we use, I actually have a Threat Detector roll, which is pretty good. You also have Snapshot present on this weapon, which really does allow this weapon to feel a lot more fluid. I know Snapshot doesn't seem like a go-to option, but outside of like Threat Detector and Slide Waste and maybe Pugilist, Snapshot really is arguably one of the best choices here, just to be sighting down as quickly as you possibly can. I know Snapshot has been nerfed, but it definitely still adds to fluidity there. Now, this is again an aggressive frame. One of the worst things about this archetype is its handling speed, which is why we really do suggest rocking things like a shotgun dexterity mod, but even go a step further and rock things like Quick Charge, and make sure you're procking Ever Ready, where you greatly increase the ready speed of fusion rifles, shotguns, submachine guns, and swords. By the way, this also improves it for sidearms, but Quick Charge here is very nice on your shotguns. All of these things combined with Snapshot definitely made Mindbender feel a lot more fluid than what this archetype normally feels. Now, a perk that's also present on this weapon is Fragile Focus, where you passively grant yourself 20 range, but has a 5-second cooldown if you take any damage. Now, what's interesting about that is that there are ways in which you can avoid taking damage. And I'm not necessarily promoting things, but going in this, obviously not pinging up on your opponent's radar while you're in this, Juggernaut shields, or if you have a means to just close the gap fast enough before you take damage, you can pretty much walk around with a high range roll. If you combine the likes of like Aztecross rounds, maybe rifled barrel and Fragile Focus and a ranged masterwork, you're looking at somewhere around 79 range on this shotgun. Now, when we actually break down kill ranges, I do want you to check out this shotgun breakdown whenever you get a chance. Jerda and Ivan and several other creators all contributed to creating one of the best shotgun info videos out there. And this was actually mentioned at a 12 a while back. But again, guys, if you're looking to get a good education on shotguns, how they work, this is a really good watch. But in terms of range, what shotguns amongst spread shotguns have the best kill range? We have Found Verdict, most notably the time loss version. This can actually kill up to 7 meters with or without opening shot. Now, opening shot here is actually going to increase your chances to get that kill. Again, it increases that accuracy, and it's super noticeable when firing from the hip, especially if someone just kind of like runs in my vicinity and I suddenly just have to get a shot out. It's really nice. The other shotgun is, of course, Fellwinter's Lie. This too can kill up to 7 meters. Granted, it's rare, but it is possible. But 100% need opening shot here. And then we have Mindbender's Ambition. Now, we tested a lot of different rolls. Most are all going to be sitting under 7 meters. Somewhere around that 6.5 meters is where Mindbender really starts to hit the ceiling. Only a max range roll with Fragile Focus can hit up to 7 meters. And that's really unfortunate because Fragile Focus is super situational. Where Whereas like Found Verdict and Fellwinter's Lie can achieve that just being the first shot and the mag with things like opening shot. We know Bungie's trying to move away from throwing opening shot, especially on aggressive shotguns, but this really hurt Mindbender's ambition. And I think the goal, or what we desired, was that Mindbender's ambition would have access to not only its old roles, but simultaneously opening shot present in its random roles outside of its curated. With that being said, I do want to give some thoughts on what my preference is going for Mindbenders if you want to use this weapon, what I would deem the god roll to be for PvP. First up, I do want to talk about barrel perks. Small bore is actually a really good play. I know you have the likes of like rifle barreled, but that handling is just too painful to look at. That -15 handling on an already very slow handling archetype, not good. And smooth bore, also not good. Adds too much spread to already a shotgun with a lot of spread. Full choke is actually really good for consistency at shorter ranges, but harder to recommend here for Mindbender's ambition because of its lower range by default. It's not like you have opening shot mitigating that. Corkscrew rifling. An argument can actually be made for corkscrew rifling pretty much for a lot of different shotguns, guys. The handling bump that you get from it, most shotguns really aren't one-hit kills anymore. And most of the time, you just want a shotgun that can be out in your hands quick enough for you to either follow with the melee after you get a single shot off, or at least swap to another weapon to get the cleanup. And the other shotgun barrel that a lot of people have been using is, of course, barrel shroud. Again, the same argument you can be making for corkscrew can also be made for barrel shroud. And at this point, you're kind of like departing away from range completely and really focusing on handling. Corkscrew at least gives you some handling, whereas barrel shroud just commits completely to that handling stat and, of course, stability. Mag perk for PvP is, of course, Aztecross rounds. And in terms of trait combinations, threat detector is still a great option. And you can even rock things like threat detector, steady hands, push up into your enemies, get that one kill off, you're good to go. Also, swashbuckler is also not a bad option, especially if you're rocking a melee-based build. And you may want to do something like swashbuckler slime waste together so that you're auto-reloading your weapon every time you slide. That way you don't really have to stop and disrupt that swashbuckler stack. Granted, you can take advantage of things like Spark of Momentum, where sliding over ammo bricks reloads your equipped weapon. If you want to fully commit to Fragile Focus though, by all means you can. I mean, you can do like a Fragile Focus roll with Snapshot just to help out with that fluidity. That way you're kind of aiming down sights somewhat fast when coming around a corner. But across the board, I do want you to recognize that Mindbender's ambition is not what it was back in the day. I would keep a roll because I like to keep a little bit of everything, but for PvP, it's just not what it was. And it's just because it lacks too much. No slide shot, no opening shot. It's obvious to me that Bungie didn't want this shotgun to stand out in PvP. Now for PvE, you can use this thing. You've got Pugilist with Swashbuckler, which could definitely work. Pugilist with 1-2 punch, which can definitely synergize together. Incandescent being present on this weapon, which will work very well inside of PvE, especially this season with unstoppable shotguns. Now, I'm not saying this shotgun's gonna change the game for you inside of PvE, but what I am saying is, unfortunately, this shotgun that was once considered a PvP powerhouse has kind of dipped more into a PvE weapon. There's been a lot left for desire here, guys. I wish Mindbenders actually came back with some traits to at least put it in the running with like Found Verdict, and of course surpassing that of Fellwinter's Lie. And I know not many people are even using Fellwinter's Lie, but Found Verdict has definitely become like the top dog amongst pellet shotguns in that energy slot. But overall, guys, in my opinion, Mindbender's ambition is just not worth the heavy grind. And it's a shame because it's finally an adept weapon. It would have been wonderful if this thing was any good. Now, we are going to be getting like a shotgun rework next season, something about the target acquisition, their spread, etc. Maybe, just maybe, Mindbender's ambition might be feeling a lot better. However, the competition is stiff. So unless something individually happens to Mindbenders, I just don't see it becoming meta. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.